Ahoy, mateys! 'Tis I, Captain Horatio Honeyflakes, and I be here to tell you about me newest crowdfunding campaign. The adventures continue with me crew, the Mighty Mascots, in issues 7, 8, and 9. Just focus your looking glass on the amazing artwork of Ian Warianto and Anton Bondi. Me crew, the Mighty Mascots, are up against some scurvy scallywags, and we need ye help to defeat them. There be a bounty of exclusive treasure, only available here, where X marks the spot. I spy a huge coffer of bonuses and stretch goals on the horizon. Then please consider pledging so we can continue these adventures with the weirdest crew I ever had the pleasure of sailing with. Mascots Unleash!
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots and promoter for the Plastic City Comic-Con. No Johnny tonight. Johnny is in the middle of a convention craziness right now. I literally finished 4 or 5 days at San Diego Comic-Con, and he's flying home, I believe, tomorrow and going right to Terrificon. God bless him. I cannot do it anymore, so I didn't go to any of them. I'm out for Terrificon. I'm out for San Diego, but he might pop in tonight. He has the link. So I told him if he does pop in tonight that we'd love an update from San Diego, which I heard it was amazing because there was no Hollywood shtick going on this year. So I heard all the artists were killing it there. But anyways, so we got to have a co-host on our show, so I tapped an old friend of mine, Mr. Matman Herring, who has got tons of radio experience, has a bunch of different podcasts focused on music, and and before that he was part of Secret Identity, so we go way back. So I brought him in tonight to be my co-host, and without further ado,
there I am,
Matman Herring.
How are you, man?
I stepped on you, Matt. What did you just say?
No, I was thinking was when I said that I'd help you out anytime you needed me, I didn't think you actually would call. So
yeah, I know when I it's funny because I did message you and you're like, let me check and I'll get back to you. Because it's a work night? Is that why?
A little bit. Mondays are a little tough. I mean, Sundays are terrible, and Mondays are even worse because you got to go back in and face reality. Especially if you're doing book stuff, podcast things, concerts, stuff like that. You're kind of in a fantasy world, and then you go right back into, wow, you suck. That's kind of the way that life is. But it's the way it is.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying too, because I remember back when we used to, go when I was still part of Hero Envy, and we would go to like these huge conventions on the weekend, do a panel in front of all these people, and you're like kind of on cloud 9, and you're walking out of there like, oh my god, this was amazing. And then Monday you go right back to that shit job and you're like nobody, and it's just like
it would be for me. You're thinking about that, you're like, wow, I just sold all these books and I met all these people, and then you walk in the door and before you can even say anything, and your wife looks at you and goes, litter box needs to get emptied. So and we both
right
know,
back to earth,
Yeah. I mean, we both have to deal with Amy's. I mean, that's kind of the way our lives have turned out to be. Not the same one, different Amy's.
Speaking of which, Amy's saying good evening all.
I see.
And what is that? Oh, hand waving. I don't know the kids' terms these days. We also got a sketchy guy Nevada in the chat tonight. Hey, what's up? And let's see. Amy's saying hi to him. Matt's hats though.
Oh yeah, back there.
Yeah, those are great.
Oh, and I thought I wasn't blocking it, but I'm blocking my spinner rack.
He's actually asking how you're hanging those.
Real intricately with a thumbtack.
Nice.
And they just balance. They balance ever so slightly.
Is this your new studio down in the basement area of the
Yeah,
new
so
house?
this is our downstairs of our new house, and it was funny thinking about right before I came in to do this. I was out. I live on a lake, and we cut this huge fire pit right by the lake. But nobody
Okay.
mentioned the fact that like wasps and hornets really enjoy that kind of area. So about 10 minutes before I came in, I was out there, spraying them with Raid and
Oh God,
trying to
yeah.
get rid of them. So this could have been a really interesting show if I got stung and attacked. But yeah,
Well, you gotta do it
this
at
is the
night, so you
studio.
did it at the right time, you know?
Yeah, tripping over chairs while running away. But
So yeah,
yeah,
but let me talk you up a little bit. So you've been doing well, like I know you do a podcast now. You do a bunch of them, right? Right
yeah.
now?
So I do. If anybody remembers Secret Identity, Brian Latendry and I did that show for at least 14 years. Never missed a
Okay.
weekend.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And then we were getting kind of bored with that. The comic scene was changing and coming kind of nasty. So we're like, you know what?
It
Let's just
still
shift over
is.
to music. So
Yeah.
we just literally one night shifted over to doing a music podcast, Power Chords.
Yeah.
We did our first episode in a while, maybe 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
So
cool.
we get together and still do that one. I do a show called The Radio Eclectic, which is where you can go on. It's an hour-long music show. And
Cool.
play music that is sent to me by bands, by labels, by anybody that sends me stuff, fans of bands. I also do 53.5, the official Striper podcast. So I work with the band Striper. So I do their
That's
official.
awesome.
Trying to think what else. I think that might be it for the podcasting. And then I got my book thing going. Can I plug my book?
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you want to send a link while we're talking for later in the show,
I mean,
I'll
this is
share it.
something. I'm sorry. This is you're stepping all over each other. I
I know,
apologize.
I know. It's horrible radio etiquette.
Yeah. So I have to look at the date on this one, but I believe so. 2015, I wrote a book called Monkey See, Sea Monkey, which was about sea monkeys taking over the world in 1978. The cool thing about this is that you, Amy, our friend John Cimino, you guys were all a part of it, a part of the story. It takes
Yeah,
place
we
in
have our copy
1979.
upstairs, I think, still.
Yeah, it takes place in 1979. But my publisher, Monarch Books, wanted me to redo this, but because we don't own the rights to Sea Monkeys, I had to change it. So I went in, I really redid the entire book. I'm a much better writer, hopefully, now than I was in 2015. So on the 4th of July, the new Monkey See SEE Monkey.
Oh, okay.
And if
So, are
anybody
you allowed to actually use the sea monkeys, but you just can't say their name in
Nope.
print? Is
So what we did was we had to try to come up with a really cool name that sounds like, sea monkeys.
okay.
So we came up they're called aquatic apes.
Okay. Okay. So it's close. So
Yeah,
you
I
know
mean,
what you'll know instantly what you're talking
yeah,
about when you.
yeah.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
so this got dropped on Amazon, Barnes and Noble the 4th of July, which was pretty cool. But
That's cool.
the really nice thing about it is being deep into music, I was able to get 4 friends of mine that are artists, and they gave me songs.
You can hold it up again,
Oh,
so I can make it big here. So.
there we go.
Oh, cool! I like
Yeah,
that.
so I got Alice Loves Alien. Now, Alice Loves Alien did a brand new. They wrote the song for it. You hear the song and you're laughing so hard because they're taking all the bits of the story.
Oh, so you have a song that goes with
So
this
there's
too? That's
4 songs.
amazing.
So there's the CD that comes with it.
Oh wow! I didn't know that you had a CD in there too.
Yeah. So it has a
Fantastic.
soundtrack. So
Oh, I like that.
this weekend I had 79 of these. Well, I'm limiting this to 79.
Okay.
You have the regular book, but 79 are going to have the soundtrack. I just put something up on Facebook this weekend. I think I sold almost 30.
Well, awesome, dude.
Because I do have to bring books to. We're going to be at Terrificon this weekend, so I had to make sure I had books to bring to Terrificon, and
Nice.
it's really exciting. This one, I got really fired up about this book. I mean, it was so much fun revisiting it and bringing back a lot of memories of, coming back from those Northeast Comic Cons where you're selling comics, you're getting alligators eating out of their containers and rifling through people's lunches.
And then
All true
aloha.
stories. Yeah, aloha. And to go back and really revisit it was a lot of fun. Throwing some more people in there. And again, the cover by Emily Druin.
So
And
it's almost like you redid. It's almost like a remaster,
Yeah.
full remaster, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Emily Druin,
I
who
love the
is
cover.
she's a fixture at the Northeast Comic-Con show. She does Kids Comic-Con. I reached out to her and said, "Hey, I need a cover. I need kind of a character redesign, and I wanted it to sort of look a little bit like this one to have the same feel,
Yeah, yeah.
but more kid friendly." And I would say within 3 or 4 days, I got almost this full complete cover.
Yeah, she's awesome. I love her artwork.
Yep. And working with artists, that's not always the way it is.
No, not at all.
You could be banging on doors going, "I paid you. Where's my art?"
Well, that's the difference between professionals and,
Yeah.
non-professionals, I guess.
Yeah. And I still want to kind of push this one too. This is my
Yeah, you have a whole line of books now too.
Yeah, I gotta figure out this camera angle. There we
Yeah.
go. So that is
Is that your
vinyl.
newest one outside of the Sea Monkey one?
Yep. This
Okay.
one came out last year, and this one has it's done well for me. I mean, this has been great to really jump in, and it's the history of Black Sabbath from the first album to the end, with more commentary and comments from musicians that have been influenced by Black Sabbath. So that was the cool thing, is reaching out and talking to friends of mine and putting stuff in there that they were talking about, giving copies to Vinny Appice, who is the second drummer in Black Sabbath, who was with Ronnie Dio in the Heaven and Hell era of Black Sabbath, and giving him a copy and sitting next to him at a show, one of Gary's music shows, the first show he ever did. And it was great because he sat there, had a crowd going, and he'd be like, "Hey, if you like Black Sabbath, you ought to buy this kid's book." I just sat there like an idiot. I didn't do anything. I just sold books, and it was great.
That's fantastic. I'm hoping we'll be at. I know you'll be at Plastic City, but we'll be at another show. So this year, we kind of took a step back, which is why I'm not doing Terrificon. We've been focusing more on outdoor kind of stuff, outdoor festivals and art festivals and things like that. And tonight's guest does a lot of those as well. I was next to him at Wicked Comic-Con a while ago, and we had a great weekend together. But yeah, so I'll be back to Terrificon. I don't know if next year, maybe next year. I just didn't want to. I get so much going on right now. I didn't want to be tied up for 3 days. Which is the other thing about doing a show like that. You're tied up for a whole weekend,
And I was feeling like that too. I started to realize, I mean, we're all getting older. And as you start getting older, you start realizing I don't have as much time left on this planet as I did maybe 20 years ago. So as much as I love going to concerts, I was going to 10, 12, 14 concerts a month.
Wow,
and
that's a lot.
And not paying for them. I mean, that's the thing. You get invited, you feel not almost obligated to go, but you want to go, you want to be there to be supportive. And then with the book things, now I'm throwing in a couple shows every month, or some book signings. It got to be too much, plus a job,
right?
And it was just a little chasing hornets. I mean, my life is completely full.
I hear you, man. We'll have to have you back on the show as a guest sometime, because I'd love to go through the whole run of books and you as an author, and then how we all met back in the day.
So much fun.
So long ago now, I mean, think back to Hero Envy was back in 2005. I mean, we're going on 20 years. It's just crazy that we've known each other, so.
Yeah. And when you think about when we found out about each other, I think you reached out to Brian, and you and John Cimino showed up at my house one Saturday. It was in September.
Yeah, remember that?
It was kind of cold out. And I'm pretty sure you two were driving all the way up going, I hope these guys aren't idiots. I hope they don't suck. Because we were doing that. We're like, man, we hope these guys aren't jerks. This would be sucky if it was. And then all of a sudden, we were together literally for 5 minutes, and it was like we were best friends.
Yeah. It was crazy how quick. Yeah. Long lost brothers,
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. So yeah, we'll definitely we'll have you on again at some point. I'd love to deep dive into everything,
Yeah.
But yeah, so tonight I booked a guest. His artist name is Quibx, and it's a guy I've known for a while. He's got a long history too, as far as he's a huge robot collector. He actually was a promoter for one show that. I don't know if you did this one, Matman. It was in Lowell. It was a small show called giant robots,
I didn't
giant
do that one.
monsters. Yeah, he did it 1 year, and it was an awesome show. And then like he never did it again. And I mean, I understand, like I'm a promoter, so I understand, like every year I'm like, I don't want to do this ever again, but I end up doing it, you know? So I get the feeling, you know. But yeah, and now he primarily sets up as an artist and sells prints and does commissions and things like that. But yeah, let's bring him in. Without further ado, let's bring in tonight's guest, Quibx.
Hey, hey, how's it going, guys?
How are you?
Would you like the talk up back there?
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, it was Super Robots, Giant Monsters, and
That's
it was
what it was.
in
What year was that, Josh?
2014.
Okay, yeah, that was a great show. But also, like, I think for me, like for conventions, I think like the highlights or the big years were between like 2010 and like maybe like 2017. Like that, those 5 years were like unbelievable. Now it's kind of leveling off a little bit, you know.
Yeah, and I never wanted to be like a showrunner or like a promoter or anything like that. That show kind of happened because of the venue, you know, that Mill Number 5 was just being built, and I had thought about doing a store in there, and it just didn't work out. But I kind of fell in love with the place, and just thought, like, what can I do in here? And you know, us toy nerds kind of have like a yearly get together in someone's backyard or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I want to talk about that a little bit. Like,
yeah.
I want to go back a little bit because you were like, I know you have, I mean, you can see the massive collection behind you. Like you were like a giant robot guy along with like Dave and why am I blanking on his name? I know there's a whole group of you guys that
there is a lot of us. You know, New England in the late 70s, early 80s had the benefit of having a lot of like Japanese imported shows on like UHF, like channel 56 or 25 or something like that. And so much so that there was a shop in Waltham called Mr. Big's Toyland.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that like became you know, you'd watch these amazing shows with all these cool spaceships and robot, and you wouldn't see them anywhere at any of the stores except Mr. Big's, right? So I think it just got ingrained into the culture of a lot of people in this area. And then when the internet kind of happened, it was an avenue we all just sort of found each other, right? And it kind of became like this East Coast collective of toy nerds that get together, like I said, once a year. And you know,
it's almost like a mini convention, right? The way Dave describes it. I've never
I would say that, you know, but it's not like people, you know, it's not something that gets like advertised publicly. It's for people like who know or vouch for like another person, you know, because you're inviting all these people over to your house, right? And you don't want strangers off the street rifling through your collection and stuff. So, you know, there can be like 30, 40 people. You know, I had a big one at my house one year that probably had 50 or 60 people at it, you know. But yeah, so every year we just sort of like trade off who wants to host this year, you know, and you know, this year we're having it in September out in Western Mass, actually. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's just fun, you know.
Yeah. Matt, you were going to be hosting this year?
Maybe. I mean, we
you got to bring a table full of good stuff out for everybody.
Yeah,
yeah, we definitely have the party house now. This is definitely the place to be where I am.
Nice, yeah. So maybe you can host, but no, isn't that interesting that it's almost like they all bring their stuff, and it's like a little, and they do a lot of trading or buying.
We trade, give each other bro prices. We bring stuff to show because there's stuff that people have that nobody's ever seen before, you know, in our niche little collecting community. So sometimes it's just like, hey man, check this out. And a lot of people, you know, what's great about us toy nerds is a lot of us are creators, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of designers, artists, 3D printers, you know, kit builders. So you'll come and you'll see people have made their own soft vinyl toys. They've made their own 3D printed robots. They, you know, it's you know, it's a nice, it's invigorating from a creative standpoint, you know, and you get to hang out and play with toys and stuff, which is always fun.
Yeah, I love that. And so it also you ran some kind of like, because my buddy Gaz knows you too.
Oh yeah, Gaz.
Yeah, you know, like you had like a What was it like? You had some kind of big website, right? Like
Yeah,
that was
it still exists, but it's not big anymore.
okay. What was it?
collectiondx.com
What is it
was
again? I'm
the
sorry, I stepped
oh
all over you.
collectiondx.com was
Okay.
at one point tremendously popular, and I was making good real money, and I had staff, and I would pay people and send
No
them to
shit.
Comic-Con, and we did like 110 episodes of a show on YouTube. And this is all pre-podcast. We started doing video reviews in 2004.
Oh
Like
wow.
It's
we've
early.
been online for 20 years, right? And really what happens is the landscape just changes, right? Like people move to TikTok and Twitter and social media, and back then we did well because we were one of a handful of people doing video reviews, and now you look at it, the whole of YouTube is reviewing and commenting on things. And I just didn't have the hustle to keep
it
up in
going.
that landscape. So it does exist still. It's sometimes updated when I get a new toy and I want to feel nostalgic about it. But I've really backed off of that in focus of art the last few years, because it was the flip side. I ran that site as a second job, through all the 2000s and 2010s, and all my art, I didn't do anything art wise, really,
Were you making a living on just the Collection DX website?
I had a day job too,
Okay.
So that was the day job. And then, I mean, I probably, if I didn't have like a family of four and a mortgage to support,
Yeah.
I probably could have made a living on that,
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
But I did have to pay some people. I had another guy who owned it with me who unfortunately passed away. So it wasn't just me. So I had to spread it out a little bit,
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
Now, for toys, is it just toys that you do, or is it because you're talking about robots more, and I'm trying to look in the back of your shelf, and I'm seeing a lot of robots, but is it all toys or is it robots? Mostly robots.
I mean, what you're seeing is robots, but I got Star Wars shelves over there. I got Legos. I got some anime figures. I got Godzilla stuff and kaiju.
Nice.
It's sort of like what I'm into. Like, so you won't see like He-Man or G.I. Joe or Turtles as a rule, because I'm not into it. It's not my thing. So it's really just a collection of stuff that I like, and I will review it. And at the time, companies were throwing $500 robots at me to review, and I didn't have to pay for them.
That's nice.
So it was really great. We'd be the first to get them, and there's all these overseas YouTubers that just score them out of the factory. It's ridiculous.
No,
rules. Free stuff is the best.
Right?
It is true. Like once you're at that level, how much would you say on the ballpark figure do you spend on like importing like these figures a month? Would you say?
I've slowed down a lot.
Did you?
Probably
Okay.
yeah, I said I don't buy a lot. Really, I'm out of space,
Okay.
for all these things. The Star Wars just announced their new HasLab for the Rebels ship, and it's going to be like $500, and it's 3 feet long and 2 feet wide. And I'm already like, where the hell is it going to go? So yeah, I don't spend. I have a guy in Japan that will fill up a box for me, and maybe like once a quarter, I'll send him like $600, and he'll send me a box of robots. It's that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
It's not super crazy.
What is your favorite? Oh, go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, when you're talking about running out of space, when we moved, I lost a lot of wall space. So I got rid of most of my toys, and I'm like, you know what? It really kind of was sad to get rid of them, but I didn't miss them. But what I missed was the collecting, going to the store, going in there and trying to find that one thing you're looking for. And I remember picking up, like, I'm looking at this wall in front of me that you can't see. It's all the vintage Star Wars figures all up on the wall. You don't even see what color the wall is. It's just all figures. But that all started with me going, you know what? I'm just going to get a Luke Skywalker and a Stormtrooper, because those were the first two I bought as kids. As a kid, I want to have those. 900 figures later, I'm still going. The other big one that I have been like really addicted to is the new Superpowers ones that McFarlane Toys is putting out.
I heard those are good. Yeah.
Those are right above me, right up here. But it's what I also like too is the price of those. They're I think they're about I think 6-7 inch figure. The packaging is great, and they're under $10. And
yeah, that's fantastic.
you can justify that. Like I can justify that going into a store, and you can, when we're shopping and it's at Walmart, I can sneak it into the cart and you don't even notice when it's, when the bill gets rung up, because my wife's not going, what was the extra $60?
As opposed to like my $50 transformer that used to be like 20,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You were talking about that Rebel ship that's coming out. All I could think of is that's our generation's USS Flag, because that G.I. Joe aircraft carrier, that is the sort of the mecca for so many people. My friend Brian, who, we're talking about doing podcasts, Brian's goal, and if I ever could, I would love to just go over to his house and say, I just brought you a USS Flag, but he has nowhere to put it. It's
right.
As kids, where did you put it?
We're contemplating, and my wife's given me permission for this, to build a hangar in the other part of the laundry, the basement, the more utility side, because I have like the Legacy Collection Falcon, that's like 3 feet wide. I got the Mandalorian Razor Crest, that's super huge. I got that Playmobil Enterprise, the one that's like 4 feet long and has all the figures. So these all have to go someplace. So she's like, yeah, just do them. I'm like, all right.
Can you get that in writing now, please?
Yeah, right. So I'm gonna take a quick break
yet.
Yeah, gonna take a quick break from this this conversation as we got a guest that just popped in the green room. Mr. Johnny C. reporting live.
What's up, guys?
Live from San Diego. What's
Not
going
only
on?
just live from San Diego, Keith, I'm live from somewhere very specific that I took you before.
Oh,
Hang
yeah?
on a second. Come with me, Mike. I got my cameraman with me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
that's the
right.
Pacific Ocean right there, my friends.
That's awesome. How's it going, man?
I'm out at Ocean Beach, one of the best places to hit if you're ever in San Diego. There's a pier that is literally the furthest out you could be from the country on foot at the end of this pier here in San Diego. And I don't know if you can flip the camera a little bit. I don't know if you can see, it's a long, long pier. I took Keith and Amy when we were here for special edition on this pier. Do you remember that, Keith?
Yeah, dude, that was great.
The head in the holes that we did.
Oh yeah.
They did some light upkeep, Keith. They actually painted the place a little bit, so
nice.
They're making it look a little nicer.
Oh, that's great, man.
But I was gonna say I have very limited time. I just wanted to check in because you wanted me to check in while I was out here. I noticed on my phone, I was like, oh no, the show's starting right now. But
just can you give us a quick report on how San Diego went, and then
phenomenal. If I can in poor taste say, I wish there was a Hollywood strike every year. Because what happened was that?
What a big revelation that, like, if you take Hollywood out of Comic Cons, the comics do well. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
it was wild. So real quick, I hadn't done numbers this well since pre-pandemic.
Okay.
Which was huge. I did better. Like, I did my Thursday. No, I did last year's numbers by the end of Thursday night. So all of my entire time, I did just like preview night in a day. You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, man, it was a really, really good convention.
I saw too. Dave Lucarelli reported that he did phenomenal too. He said it was his best show ever at San Diego.
Yeah, man. People were buying. People were supporting the indies. I hope, if anything, it shows that Hollywood isn't the linchpin to this convention. It's only one of the benefits and perks. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's awesome. And Harry said it's Shark Week, Johnny. Be careful out there.
There's sharks out in these waters, man. Let me tell you what. But I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to take away from the guests.
Well, no, and I also mentioned,
thank you for filling in. I appreciate it.
Gotcha, Johnny.
Also, I said at the top of the show, you're going right into Terrificon, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to land on Wednesday, get my car fixed because I guess my car won't start and the tires are down. I know, right? Only when I'm away does this stuff happen.
Yeah.
Once that's done, Thursday morning, I'm off to Terrificon.
I'll see you there.
See you there, man. Make sure you swing by the booth. I'm gonna have a full cafe. I'll get you a cup of coffee.
And
we will branded for Surrounded by Death.
And we're definitely going to have to hit that pizza place. Remember that little firehouse pizza place that we went to last time?
I don't think I was there for that one. I may have not been there on that one.
I thought you went. We had a bunch of psychopaths that went with us, but I thought you were one of. I
normally am a psychopath, but I don't think I was there for that one. Awesome, guys. Well, hey, enjoy the rest of the show.
Johnny, have a safe trip. And I'll see you back live next Monday. I think next Monday is
Global Comics.
Global Comics.
Cool. Looking
Awesome,
forward
dude.
to it, guys.
Say
See you in a
hello to
few days,
everybody.
Johnny.
Say hello to Jared and all those guys for me at Terrificon.
You're not going to come down for a day, Keith?
I don't think I'm going to be able to.
No worries, no worries.
But definitely. So I'll try. If I do, you'll see me.
Keep me posted.
I will. All right, brother.
All right, take care, guys. Have a good
Safe
show.
travels.
Later.
Thanks, man. Later.
Awesome.
I thought he went with us to the pizza place.
What's that?
I could have sworn he went with us to the pizza place.
I thought so too, but now I can't remember. I mean, all those experiences kind of roll into one after a while, you know. But where were we? Oh yeah, we were talking toys, like gigantic toys on where to put them.
Right. Yeah.
You know
yeah,
what?
no. Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of Terrificon and toys, I think Friday I am doing a Mego panel.
Oh, where?
So I'm hosting a Mego panel, but the cool thing is it's with Art Baltazar.
Oh, nice. I love Art.
Yeah, Titans. Oh yeah, comics.
Yeah, I love Art.
I get to share my story, my Planet of the Apes figure story that you know so well about me shoving them down my pants as a kid.
Oh, yes.
You know, and then being like, "Whoa, what happened? Who stole those? That's horrible." And it was me. But it's really, you know, when you think about like the toy part, if it wasn't for toys like those Mego figures, I never would have got into comic books. Like that was my gateway to get into comic books. I read my dad's, and then I'd go to the store and go, "Oh my gosh, that's Superman and Batman and Robin. I know those guys. I need to have those." And then falling in love with Spider-Man's costume as the Mego, reading the comics and going, "This kind of sucks." I never liked Spider-Man, but the Mego figure is one of the greatest ever, and his costume is one of the greatest. But I kind of wish that we would go back to those times when kids would play with toys again, and it isn't the adults blocking them out to get the good stuff. And
they don't cost like $40.
My first comic was a Shogun Warriors comic. So
is it really?
I got the Shogun Warriors comic because I was, as a kid, nuts over the Shogun Warriors, you know? So totally, right?
I was going to ask you, Josh, what is your favorite? I mean, I know that there's a lot of Japanese robots and everything. What is your absolute favorite?
There's a character called there's two that I obsess about. One is the Shogun Warrior Raideen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other one is the Vehicle Voltron.
Really? You like the vehicle?
Voltron. I may have like the largest Vehicle Voltron collection like anywhere.
It's funny because no one really loves the vehicle one that I run into.
It was one of those things that like I asked my parents for Voltron, and that's the one I got. Right, like I wanted the Lion one, but I got the Vehicle Voltron, and then that became my Voltron. Like I you know, like that's where, you know, and I've always rooted for the underdog, and it felt like a kinship with the underdog of things, anyway. So it was just like a match that was made in heaven, and I've just got so much stuff of that character now. It's ridiculous. I could probably open a little museum that nobody would attend.
That's awesome.
Those comics were so much fun. Those Shogun Warriors.
Oh yeah, man, Herb Trimp's art in those.
Bill Mantlo wrote it. I mean, he was doing Micronauts too, and that I was a Star Wars kid, so I couldn't take my $4 a week to spend on toys and split it between Star Wars and Micronauts. But that was one of my favorite series of all time. I love the Micronauts.
Which one? Micronauts?
Yep. Nice. The first season, the first 12 issues are some of the best ever.
And I was a weird kid. Like I was very much a tactile person, and the Micronauts toys were always very fragile for me. They couldn't stand up on their own. The parts broke easy, and I got frustrated very easy with them. So at the time, I was just like, nope, I'm not. I had a Hornetroid, and I had the Terrafant, and I had a couple aliens and a couple of figures, and they just they fell apart. They didn't stand up for play like the Kenner Star Wars figures did. And so I just didn't, you know, now I completely appreciate them, but I just didn't have that attachment because they weren't, you know, the same, right?
I got the Terrafant because I wanted a Walker type character so I could play with my Empire Strikes Back figures.
Nice.
And remember it shot water? You loaded it up and it shot water out the front.
Yeah, you had the little pump on the back and it would shoot water out the nose. Yep. Yep. Tank treads were great. It was great. It was a great piece.
They don't make stuff like that anymore, you know.
And the art on those boxes too. The art on those boxes, because they were fully painted. It was beautiful stuff.
Harry asked GoBots were crap, right?
No. I have every GoBot that has ever been made,
Do you
and
really?
most of the Japanese exclusives.
Do you
And
even have
they
the, like,
are.
was it the Rock Lords? Remember the Rock
I
Lords?
have all the Rock Lords, including like the crystal ones.
Oh,
I have the
wow,
ones
that's
that you pull
awesome.
the strings back and everything. Yeah, well, the thing about that is the GoBots cartoons sucked.
Yeah.
But the toys that they were based on, Machine Robo, were solid, you know, playable hand candy that any kid could figure out and put in their pocket. There was die cast metal, and they, you know, and they were just awesome, you know. So if you can just divorce yourselves from, you know, the horrid cartoon,
If you just
the
look at the
toys are
toys
astounding.
objectively, like, instead,
Yeah, I set a lot of the toys that I collect. I couldn't care less about the shows that they come from. You know, I haven't watched every episode of Voltron, and I don't care. That's like I'm there for the toys, right?
Yeah.
But Star Wars is a you know, a Star Wars Black Hole, Tron, that kind of stuff I'm all into.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
Black Hole.
that's when I
What
started
an amazing-
drawing when I was a little kid. Like I have drawings of me drawing the, you know, the jets from Robotech, you know, and
Oh, so that's
and
how
all
it kind of. So the toys actually got you into drawing a little bit too, huh?
Yeah, kind of that in comics, you know, because as a kid, I was like, I mean, I was into the toys, I was into comics, I was into Legos, you know, I was obviously watched the movies of things, so I got hit with all the pop culture avenues that one would have, you know, in the
Okay.
late 70s, early 80s, you know. So I watched the shows on TV, and then I'd go out in the yard and play with the kids, and we'd be, you know, the dudes from Star Avengers, or we'd be playing space battleship, you know, Star Blazers, and
Yes.
we'd find I had a stick that kind of looked like the Argo, which was now we know is the Yamato, and I'd like fly it around my backyard because I was like, you know,
I love it.
no, there were no toys of it, right? That you
Yeah.
could get unless you went to Mr. Biggs.
I love
So-
that era too. That, I mean,
Yeah,
that
it was all
like,
creative play. And then then comics, like I said, I bought the Star Wars comics, and then whatever was on the shelf at the time, I gravitated towards Marvel more than DC, and I became a big X-Men mutant books fan, you know.
Yeah.
And then I started drawing my own comics where my characters were part of the X-Men, you know.
Yeah, I think we all did a little bit of that. Like we always
yeah.
kind of like took whatever was popular at the time and kind of just
So
incorporated
I'll show you
ourselves
this.
into it.
That I brought some show and tell, right?
Oh, did you really?
Okay.
All right, I can't wait to see.
This is 1987. Notice the X on his belt,
Yes.
right? He was an X-Men, you know. And these are comics that I made like for years.
Well, I love that you still have them too.
Oh yeah, they're just like I did this through the 90s, right? Like, you know, it got better and at to a point, but it was like, yeah, we rolled with it. It was crazy.
Fantastic. Yeah, I still have, you know,
Yeah.
I still have a bunch of my old stuff too, which is kind of fun. The other thing I wanted to mention too, actually, while we're talking about young Josh, as you know, as an artist, you told me at Wicked Comic Con that you did artwork with Sean Gordon Murphy when you were younger too, right?
Yeah.
Tell us all about that story, because I'm sure everyone out there who reads comics knows who that is, you know.
You know, it's funny because from the time that I knew him to, like, I didn't know that he had gotten a career in comics, because I left comics back in like 2000, and I didn't kind of come back into the world till later. So we used to have there was a store in Drake, Mass called The Flea, and Sunday nights they would have like kind of an art night. They had this room upstairs, and a bunch of us would get together up there and draw comics, and you know, pretend like we were going to have like a publishing company and all of this crap.
Yeah.
But like some people would write, some people would draw, you know, some people would just hang out just to hang out. And you know, people who came into the store, you know, the guy who wanted would mention it to people who came in that had an interest in art. And we'd been doing it for a year or 2 years, maybe, or something like that. And then one day the you know, people came in and out.
What
One
year
day
was
this kid
this,
comes up.
Josh? What year was this roughly?
Oh, this was, I want to say 93, 94.
Okay.
Somewhere in that area. And this kid comes up, and, you know, he was probably 10, 11 years old. Maybe 12, right? And he's like, his parents came up with him and kind of had to like scope the room and be like, all right, am I leaving my kid here with a bunch of psychos? You know, is there an adult present? You know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and then he just sort of hang out and draw with us. And you know, he was young, right? And he would ask questions about this and that or whatever. And I would look at his work, and at the time, you know, Image was just out of the gate crazy, right? Everyone was Liefeld, Jim Lee crazy.
Yeah.
So that you can picture the style of art that
everyone was doing that. Yeah,
a young mind. And I kind of said to him, like, look, dude, like, you don't want to emulate this art, right? Like, this is not good art. It may be popular art, but it's not good art. Like, find your own thing. And so he must have taken it to heart, I guess, right? And I'd show him a few things here and there, but you know, I'd introduced him to like Pantera and Metallica, because we'd have a boombox up there that we would crank, and I largely would take it over and, you know, annoy everybody with my music.
But so yeah, was he drawing in the Image style, like Liefeld and stuff? When you met him?
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
but in a very, like, without knowing the fundamentals of art. So like, you know, like he knew to draw the lines on the side of the face, and the guy going, Urgh! But like, you know, the big pads and things, you know, but without like the foundations of actually being an artist, you know. And
then, like not knowing the anatomy and things like that. Yeah.
And you know, apparently he lived nearby. I think he went to Pinkerton Academy, I think in Derry or London, something like that. But yeah, and then, you know, he went for a bit, and then over time, like all of us kind of, you know, we were getting girlfriends and kind of moving out of this. It was clear that whatever we were doing in there was not becoming a thing, right? So we would, you know, we'd not be there every weekend, and eventually we just didn't see him anymore. And it was a good kid, whatever, no, you know. And then years go by. I haven't been in the store forever, and I think it was, I don't remember the year, but I think Sean had done Punk Rock Jesus, I think.
Yeah,
so,
that was when I first heard about him.
Yeah. And it was hanging in the wall. I stopped in the store to say hey, and then they're like, check this out, and I'm like, yeah, all right, well, what's up with that? It's like, that's the kid who used to come up to the draw and the thing. I'm like, no kidding. And so I just thought that was cool, but I never really had run into him or anything. And then we did Wicked Comic-Con last year, and I'm like, oh, Sean's over there. I wonder if he remembers me. And yeah, I went over there, and it was just like a nostalgia wave just like took him over, and he was like, oh my God, like I remember you had the long hair.
Did you know who you were instantly?
Once I said it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, because I remember he had come over, and I didn't want to interrupt you guys, but he had come over to talk to you and I think another friend of yours, because you were right next to me at Wicked. And I was like, oh, I kind of want to just say hi to Sean Gordon Murphy, but I didn't want to be like the guy that interrupted all you guys. So I was like, I'll wait. And then he went back, and his line just never ended the whole weekend. So I never got to say anything to him. Yeah. But I do like his work a lot. I think he's really good.
He's super talented. And I feel like, and it kind of kills me a little bit, like, so you're saying if I never stopped drawing, like I could have done that, you know, like, I don't know. Right. But, oh yeah, no. And I, like I said, he's apparently quite a big deal. He had like an art school or something, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's that kid, you know?
Oh yeah. He did a crowdfunding campaign a couple of years ago, made $200,000, you know, no big deal.
Not bad.
You know, not bad, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm dude, I'm proud of him, you know, like I can't lay any claim to his success, but the fact that, like, you know, I was part of that journey is cool, right?
No, but to say that, you know, the Image style was garbage back then is like, you never heard of that back then. Like back then, it was always like how awesome it was, you know. And how about you, Matt? Were you a fan of that growing up, the Image stuff?
I did not like it. I mean, I was also older, so I've been collecting. By the time Image hit, what was that, 92, 93, around there when it started to hit, I've already been collecting since 1974. So I was very established in my Joe Kubert, Jack Kirby, the Ramitas, Sam Glanzman, Russ Heath, John Byrne, all of that. So
people could draw.
I remember,
Yeah.
yes, and tell stories, and you weren't reading a book. It's like, this is one big panel. You know,
Yeah,
that was what took me out.
It's just a whole book of yelling.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
but when
And
the only
poses.
my first time I really kind of got into the Image stuff was when they did Heroes Reborn. When all
when
the
they
Image
came
guys went
back
to Marvel.
to Marvel, yeah.
And they went back, and then they created like this whole pocket universe. And for me, not being a huge Marvel guy, I was always more DC. This was a great way for me to get the Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, and there was a fourth. Iron Man, Captain America,
Fantastic Four.
So the Image guys were all doing those books, and it was like, this is great. This is me able to jump on the ground level of the Marvel universe. And as bad as Rob Liefeld's Captain America was, I could really appreciate what he was trying to do with that Jack Kirby feel. So I could see that in there, but I've gone back and looked at some of his stuff, and it's like, why do you not draw feet? Why do you not draw ankles? Why does everybody have gauntlets? Why is everybody got puppy
hair
shoulders?
metal of art?
Yeah.
Right. It was all glam and style, but no substance.
Yep.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
You know,
that's a great way
and
to describe it, actually.
You know, and look, I mean, he said made a good career for himself. Deadpool, yada yada, what, you know, all that stuff. Congratulations, he has the career that I didn't have, but I just feel like you were given such a platform to do, you know, and I don't know, it just maybe he wasn't ready. I don't know. I could probably go on and on about how much I dislike his artwork. I'm sure he's a wonderful person.
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice
nice guy.
I was next to him at Rhode Island, and I had a conversation with him. He's really nice,
yeah.
But I don't like his artwork, and I feel like too he's one of these guys that just never got better. Like his artwork is still as bad.
And each time I see a new piece that comes out, I'm going like, how do you not see that that's wrong?
Yeah.
The body doesn't work that way.
I almost feel like he does it because that's what people expect.
Could be.
I'm pretty sure he could, you know, hey, look what I just did. Oh no, you can't. No, that's too good.
Money, who cares?
2-year-old style, yeah.
You know what I mean? Do what you want to do. Turn into an improvisational jazz artist.
Do you know where he made his initial money was on those Buttonfly 501?
I remember that
commercial. Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, I was there for all that.
Yeah, I remember that big time. I mean, I remember what an impact Image was, you know, like it's, you know, definitely changed over the, like, I feel like if those guys came around now, it'd be a whole other story, you know, it wouldn't be like, you know,
some of the best artists of that group just faded out, at least for, like, in terms of my knowledge, like Wiles Portacio and then Wetworks and Stroman, which I've seen around at shows, but like his work should have been right up there with everybody else's, and he did 2 issues of Tribe, and it just stopped. You know, you know, and then I mean, Jim Lee's fine, McFarlane's fine, you know, but those guys were unique. They had very amazing stuff that I'm really surprised that they just sort of didn't latch on like the other ones. But I think a lot of it is hustle, right? And I've noticed that, like, you can be a moderate or mediocre talent, but if you have a ton of hustle, you're going to get noticed before someone else does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all like half your career now is social media and, you know, doing the hustle, like you say, you know. Yeah,
and that's kind of why I've been checking out of, like you said, I've been checking out of a lot of stuff. You know, like I turned 50 this year, and it's like I can't do 3-day shows, right? I can't do, you know, 2 shows a month. I just can't, right? So I've been sort of shifting. I go through all these phases where what I want to do, you know, when I say, I mean, I have my job, that's my job, but all these other pursuits, I go through phases of what they're going to be and what, you know, and I think I'm in a transitional phase now where I'm actually sort of coming back to comics from, you know, doing kind of more poster art and that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah. So when did you start, like, so you were doing the website Collection DX for a while. When did you kind of shift to art? Was it after that, after you ran that Comic-Con? After you read
no, I ended up getting divorced.
Did you really?
You know,
okay, I didn't know that.
Maybe oh God, 6-7 years ago, and I was just on my own, right? And you get through that when you're on your own, you kind of like go back to your comfort spots and like, what did I do before when it was just me, right?
Yeah, like when you didn't have all this distraction, it was just
Yeah,
you
like
kinda go
I
back
have
to your roots.
I'm alone in an apartment now. What am I doing with my time? Oh, I guess I'll draw, right?
Yeah.
And I started just getting back to drawing and really enjoying it again, but no aspirations of really doing anything with it. And it wasn't until I met my wife now that she's an author and she wanted to sell her books at conventions, and I didn't have any thoughts of, but I'm like, you know what, if you're gonna have a table, maybe I'll put some stuff out there for my drawings and all that. And she didn't really like doing it, but I loved it. So I just kind of started doing it from there and just selling prints and things. And it's been pretty good. It's fun. It's fun to see people buy your stuff. Like,
Yeah,
that's just like the stuff I've been doing since I was 8. Like, oh, you like this? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Have a sticker. Like.
And I love that you do like because I was next to you and we talked all weekend at Wicked, but I love that you do stuff that is meaning is more for you than actual like you trying to tap into like whatever is the hottest thing at the moment.
Yeah. I always tell people that come up and ask like, oh, do you have a Naruto print or do you have this and that? And I'm like, no, because I only draw what I like. Right. So
I love that.
I'm not gonna jump on another bandwagon to sell a bunch of things and then it's the next thing and then if I like it, I'm gonna draw it. So like if it's an anime, I have to have watched it and enjoyed it, and then I'll do a print from it. Or like people have dying to have me do a Michael Myers print from Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Nothing could bore me more than a dude in a jumpsuit and a William Shatner mask.
Well, I love that you have don't you have a print of Willem Dafoe from
The Lighthouse?
The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
Like it's just a small movie that like I don't even
but
think
but when people see it, they're like,
I love that you have it. Like when I saw it, I was like, is that what I think it is?
Yep.
That was great. But that's what I mean. Like I love that you made a print of that. You know what I mean? I love that.
Yeah, I just do fun stuff that makes me happy, and then hopefully people like it, and my prints are maybe 50-50 straight like original designs, and the other half's like like I said, Star Wars or stuff that I'm into. I don't have any comic book prints at all.
Yeah.
Because I figure you go into a comic book show, there's 9,000 other people selling Wolverine prints that have been doing it longer and better than I have.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so let them have that dollar.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something different.
And catch the fans that are kind of there not for the superhero stuff.
Right. And it's been that works somewhat, but like you, I find that the best reception that I tend to get are these sort of not cons, that you go to, and the general public is there, and it's less about, fighting for the dollars among 70 other artist alley tables, and more like just being a unique voice in a creative field. Right.
Yeah. That's what we're trying a lot of this year. And like, so far it's been limited success, but it's also been a lot of weather issues with us, being outdoors.
My next 3 shows I only have 3 shows left this year, and they're all outdoor shows. I think we're doing the same show, Start on the Street. We're doing
that show was great last year, so I'm looking forward to going back. Hopefully the weather works out on that one. And I'm also trying, because you told me about this one too. You told me Salem in October was really good. So I booked one of the days in Salem. I think it was the Monday for was it Columbus Day? I booked that day. So we're gonna try it out and go down for the day.
I'm there the 28th and the 29th. So the last.
Oh, so you're going the last week? Wow. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. That's gonna be.
That's
crazy,
always a really crazy. There's like 70, 80,000 people that come through Salem.
God, that's crazy. Weekend. Yeah. And I feel like Salem is a good place to sell artwork, no matter what you're doing,
Yeah. And I always do like a Salem print that's like, hey, you went to Salem. And I talk to so many people at Salem, like, oh, we came from Minnesota. And I'm like, That's cool, you know.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
somewhere like in the heartland on a wall in some bedroom is my print commemorating their trip to Salem, and I think that's kind of cool. You know,
That is cool. I like that. But yeah, no, and like I'm kind of with you as I get older. Like I'm trying to do different shows, hit different audiences, and also um, do more like shows that are more profitable and less work. I guess you
yeah,
know
yeah,
where you're
yeah,
only there a day or
and
two versus you know.
I'm also shifting away from shows in general. I'm trying to do more work,
Okay, yeah,
to pick up work for like try to pick up jobs that gets my art out there as well. And it's kind of like you do the job, you get paid, and that's great. Like you don't have to do it like a show every week. If you get some kind of thing like
right,
that,
right.
and this will interest you, Matman, I think. So I'm doing a comic for a guy who is doing a custom run of custom Mego figures.
Oh,
And he's doing Mego. Do you remember Fisher Price Adventure People?
oh my gosh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that. I had
Yes.
some of those.
So he's doing Mego style space adventure people. So his first one is
Wow.
Brainoid, right?
Okay.
With the one claw arm and the brain head and everything.
Yeah.
And we're packing in a Masters of the Universe style mini comic with each figure that he puts out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm drawing. I've done all the layouts and everything. He's written it and everything, and I'm gonna draw it and everything. And this company's Kuru Creations.
Okay.
And so if you just look at Brainoid Mego figure, he's got like a couple that he just put out, but they're like he's working on a whole run of them, and he's gonna do like the X-Ray Man and all these things, I think.
Wow, cool. Is that like is he starting off his own toy line? Like
I think technically right now they're customs.
okay.
You know what I mean? Just he's only doing like a 20, 30 piece run or something like that.
But
it was a nice
build each one kind of thing.
Yeah. He's like, I think he's got like you can buy Mego blank bodies, and then he's getting like the outfits tailored and casting things in resin, and he's getting the boxes made. He's doing a real nice job with them.
Okay.
So I think like it's a nice crossover of the toy world that I'm interested in and the art world that I'm interested in, and having those things kind of coalesce in a project is like ideal for me,
Yeah,
and it allows me to flex that art comic muscle again that I haven't done in forever,
Yeah, I love that. I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Now, are you gonna actually, besides it being part of the custom toy, are you gonna have some to sell on your own as well?
I think I'll have some available to sell with me. I did a print for him before, and that's how we got connected. And yeah, I'm sure I'll have some mini comics on a table to share. That's going to be a knit. Like there's a pitch that has to come with that to most people at a convention. Like, what is this? I was like, all right, wow. Remember the adventure people. You gotta go do a whole thing,
Yeah.
So
right.
it's a little bit of a weird hit for the table, but
well, maybe he'll give you a couple toys that you can put as like to show him what it is.
It's
part
possible,
of something like that. That would be good.
Yeah, but right now I'm just enjoying the challenge of doing like sequential storytelling again, and because that was always kind of my weakness. I drew fine, I was but like the story was always a challenge for me, and well, maybe it wasn't back in the day, but like I said, I'm old and tired now, and there are a couple stories that me and my friend, the friend who was at Wicked Comic Con, that he's a writer, and we've got some ideas hashing around, but like I feel like I can't just do that. I need to like get back into that mode, and I don't ever see myself tabling as a comic artist at a Comic Con. I've seen what you guys do. Sketch covers are tough, like
it's a grind. I mean, I feel you there too. Like Amy's kind of the same way. Brilliant artist, but when it comes to sequentials, like she cannot quite do it without like someone laying it out for her. Like
Well, I can do. What's funny is I can interpret the story fantastic. I studied Will Eisner. Like I really got into the art of sequential. Can I show you another thing?
Yeah. Let's see.
this is what I made real comics for a period of time, and this is all sequential art that I did that went nowhere. So like I was into this like big time.
Hold one up to the camera. Let me see. Oh wow, yeah, that's not bad. When did you make that?
This is in the 90s. This is probably 94, 95. We did 3 issues of it, but they weren't great. And it was one of those things that like trying to find if there's a cool page. It's a cool page. Like so I can lay out a page, you know what I'm saying? But
I like it.
But like the thing is, like, by the time we finished, like, this is the third issue, you go back and look at the first issue and go, oh, that doesn't look anything like the third issue.
Yeah.
And then I'd want to start again and do it again. And like I said, and this third issue came to a close right when we were all just getting lives, right? And it just sort of, so I've got boxes of real on the page comic book art, like professionally lettered, like the dude, this guy, this inker guy, what was his name? Jim McDermott. I think he used to work for DC. And he would hang out at the comic store, and I would pay him like $50 to ink my page, like $50 a page to like ink a bunch of pages. As a kid, as a 22-year-old, I'm like, this is amazing. I've got a real inker inking my work and stuff, and it looks so much better. And then he was gone, and then I'm like, oh, this doesn't look as good.
Awesome.
But now that I've like sort of discovered like the tablet, and I'm a lot less afraid of inking and working digitally. So,
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I'm glad. Fun. I like seeing you at shows too. I mean, I'm glad we were next to each other at Wicked. The other thing I love about you, Josh, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, I love that you are a no bullshit guy when it comes to like if a show sucks, like like you tell. I go to your Facebook whenever you do a show if I want to find out how it was, because I know I'm going to get the straight story from you.
Right.
But I love that. I wish more people were like that though, because I don't understand. I don't know if it's like an image thing with people or an ego thing where they gotta not. I mean, we've talked about this, Matt, too, where like they gotta not like, I guess, look bad that they didn't make money at a show. But it's better to tell everybody you didn't make money, so we know to avoid those crappy shows.
Yeah. No, I know, and especially where the table prices are continuing to rise like crazy. Admission prices are rising like crazy. A cost of materials is rising. So yeah, if I can, I mean, not that I'm like on a soapbox or anything, but if I could, save somebody some money for like, dude, don't do this show. Cause I've done some shows where I ended up in a field in Vermont with like one guy and one other tent, like weird shit. Right. Like, pardon my French, but, I feel like, it's like, why sugarcoat this, and we talk about Northeast, you've mentioned Northeast Comic-Con. Like I started doing those cons and they were great. But the same thing, the table prices keep going up. They charge you for a table on top of your space.
Yeah, that's a little crazy. It should all be one price.
And I love, Gary's a great guy and a great promoter, but the guests aren't there. And if the guests aren't there, the traffic isn't there, and then I don't make any money, right? So I don't need this to survive. So I'd rather just have my weekend back, but if I'm gonna go, I want it to at least cover the cost of going.
Yeah, like I almost feel like nowadays, like if I go to a convention, I want to at least make a profit now. Like I don't want to just make table. You know what I mean?
I'm too old to lose money, right?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Like, and we all have mortgages. We all have, like bills,
right? Yeah. And I hate to say that that's, what it's about, because I'm obviously make art, create, grow an audience, whatever. But like you see these Artist Alley kids and they're like 22, 23, and they got their costumes on and their little chibi drawings, and they're just happy to be at the show.
Yeah.
Right. And they're getting their first taste and they're loving it. But like after, I'm not at the point where I'd rather go mow my yard and get that done than spend a Sunday at a table that is at a dead convention.
Right. You don't want to be home. You don't want to be behind on your work, on your home stuff.
And,
yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
10,
And it's,
15 years ago, I was going to say 10, 15 years ago, Keith and I used to do every single show that would show up. Somebody would come up and say, "Oh, you know what? Go to Camden, New York or Camden, New Jersey. There's a great little show there." And we're like, "You know what? Let's do it." So we're driving down to Camden and, we're pulling in and we're like, this is not the safest area to be in. This is not a good area to be in. My wife is like, you guys are going down to the, what was it? The carjack capital of the world. So she's all worried about it.
I remember when we announced it, we're going on to that show on Facebook. I got half a dozen private messages like, do not go to Camden. Like,
but
we looked it up. It was like the worst. Is it voted like one of the worst cities in the United States? It was like number 1 or something, right?
But for that run of shows that we were doing all the time, that was one of our best shows. Like, I remember walking out of there going, we had to do this again sometime if we make it out alive.
Yeah. So Josh, it's the most bizarre thing. So they have a campus. It's Rutgers University, and it's right in the middle of Camden. So if you can get to the university, like
you're safe.
Everything within a block is fine. But if you go beyond that one block, you're asking for it, basically.
It is all, you get off the exit and you're driving and it's all package stores.
It's like when the Griswolds get off on the wrong exit from the highway, and then like windows up.
It's exactly what it was. Look at this. I'm already getting comments. Camden, the most dangerous city in New Jersey. Camden, New Jersey was once the most dangerous city in the USA.
It's not anymore because everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Isn't it like that in Gary, Indiana or something like that is the other one?
Well,
like,
I remember when we went to the show, I ran into an artist friend that I knew there. And he said to me, if you see a guy, asleep on the streets in Camden, it's pretty good chances that guy's actually dead. So I was like, okay, all right, now I know where.
And the one thing about that show too that I remember is how awesome it was. We were stuck on the bridge coming back. The George
we went
Washington
by the
Bridge.
Sopranos Bada Bing bar.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And unfortunately, that was when we found out that Norman Lee passed away.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
And we were devastated. You want to talk about a guy that was so New England, so Boston, and it was just it was such a euphoric. It was a scary going in day. It was euphoric leaving, and then we find that out while we're sitting on a bridge.
Yeah, that was crazy, and I'll never forget that year. I mean, me and you, Amy, were at. I mean, almost every weekend we were at a show, and that was nuts. I
hear these horror stories of these old time con guys that have just been doing this for years and years. They all have these stories about these horrible things that have gone wrong and gone right. There's tons of stories. And I'm like 4 years into this now, 5 years now, and I'm kind of like, all right, I haven't it's gonna come. It hasn't happened to me yet, like where it's been like, oh, I almost died, or something. But but I don't actually go that far for my shows either. I generally, the farthest one I think I did was Terrificon last year, and that wasn't great either. So
I don't travel like I used to.
And I kind of want to do San Diego. I did the special edition, but the problem with that show is like it's the money to go to San Diego is ridiculous. Like you can never turn a profit. So
we did San Diego with the toy website.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, and we got invited out there by a Japanese figure company called Kotobukiya, and we emceed their stage at their booth, like guest emceed.
Cool.
Yeah, then we had our own little table. I had some vinyl toys that I did and stuff, and man, that was so much fun. I went to like the Lucasfilm party. I went to designer toy things. Oh, it was just crazy. It was like, oh, is this what being a celebrity is like? I kind of like it,
Well, yeah. Nobody. I do know your site because of like how popular it was back in the day.
Yeah, it was real. It was it was quite popular. But now it's in retirement. It's like the retirement home version of a website. It's not. I'm not patching software bugs. I'm not updating the CMS. I'm not changing the way it looks. It's like it's going to have the same haircut from the 70s.
Yeah.
Please use JavaScript.
Yeah, there you go. Who's using that, right?
Jeez.
Awesome. Well, we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes, which it doesn't seem like it because we've been talking pretty, but I definitely want to, definitely, Josh, I'd love you to plug anything that you would like, the comic that you're working on, where people can find you, what shows you're going to be at, that kind of thing,
Yeah, so obviously my art website is quibx.art, and pretty much I'm Quibx all over this Instagram, Facebook, that kind of thing. So you pretty much will find me wherever you want that way. collectiondx.com still exists, and go check that out if you like nostalgic toys. I have 3 shows coming up for the end of the year. On August 12th, I will be at the Manchester Art and Crafts Show in Manchester, New Hampshire. That will be an interesting show because there's gonna be a lot of old ladies with pottery and jewelry, and then me. So that'll be
sometimes
fun.
you do good at those though, because you're the only unique thing that's there.
I live here, so I could walk there, and it's this light lift, so I might as well, if
try it. I'd say it's always worth it.
September 17th, start on the street, Worcester, Mass, and then October 28th and 29th, I'll be on the Common in Salem, Mass, at Haunted Happenings. And I don't know when the comic I'm working on is going to come out, since I haven't really started drawing the finished inks yet. But look for Migo style Adventure People Brainoid or Kuru Creations. Just Google them. If you're into Migos and stuff, it'll probably come across your plate at some point. And
that's great.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great talking to you, Josh.
And Josh, one question that I forgot to ask you: Quibx, what's the origin of the artist name?
That's an interesting one. I'll try to keep it short. So,
no, if it goes a little long, that's fine.
No, it's because it's kind of really boring. But I used to work in like 1990 or so. I worked at a newspaper. I worked in the distribution department, and I worked on the machines that put all the advertisements in the middle of the newspaper. So you'd have a stack of ads, you put it in, and it was super loud and it was just boring. And my friend who you met worked on a different machine that was on a different level, so we couldn't really talk to each other. So we would pass notes to each other throughout the course of the overnight shift, and there would just be this and that, but we get weird, we get overtired, and I just, as a note, I wrote this weird nonsensical mathematical equation to him, and he wrote back to me with just the answer, and the word was quib.
Okay.
QUIB. So that was my handle on AOL. My first email was Quib. My first domain was Quib. And then I went to go register the domain name, and somebody had it.
Oh, no kidding!
Son of a bitch. So I added an X at the end. That's just so it's nice. It's short. It's incredibly. No one knows how to pronounce it. But so I've figured in my art world, I would brand it this way, so to separate my professional career from like my art career. So that's what Quibx is.
I like it though. It's it's like when you see those one name like the comic artist Jock, or something like that. I love that. Like it just it kind of goes with the whole
like
art.
It's like a brand, like maybe
absolutely.
It's like Crispix.
Crispix.
There you go.
Crispy times 2.
Yeah.
Well, they came out with an electric toothbrush called Quip, and I'm like, oh man, they're coming for it. They're hovering around the name. They're not too many 5-letter domain names left in the world. They're gonna get me eventually.
A little bit like Quisp too.
Yeah,
Quisp.
Yeah, a little bit like that. So that's what it reminds me of when I see it. A little bit of Quisp. Best cereal ever.
Oh, there was that channel Quibi. Remember Quibi?
Yeah,
was the thing. Yeah. Again, I'm like,
they're getting close. Yeah. I love it. And you've been Quibx for like at least 5 years now, right? Or more?
Yeah. Artistically, yeah. Like I said, my AIM handle in the late 90s was Quib. But yeah, Quibx was since I started kind of doing shows and putting myself out there. I was also like, I have a professional job that I work for that may not like the pentagrams. I don't know. It's just the thing that I'm like, if I'm looking for a job and they're on LinkedIn, like, who is this Quibx? Oh my God. I want to, you know.
Thank God we didn't hire that guy.
I love it. And Matman, how about you? I forgot to grab your links early on, but like, where can people find you? Like, where can people get your book?
Yeah,
like,
so
where can people grab the podcast, that kind of thing?
if you go to originalmatman.weebly.com, that is
Okay.
my landing page for the podcast, for all the other things that I do. You can get the books on Amazon. If you go to Matman Herring on Facebook, that's where I basically live. I'm the one social media guy, and it's Facebook. And it's only
Okay.
Facebook because that was the first one I was on, and I ain't going nowhere. I'm too old
hear
to
that, man.
get on Snapchat and TikTok. My wife's like,
Oh yeah.
you need to make TikTok videos for the book. Yeah, you make TikTok videos for the book.
Once the social media I'm on dies, my social media presence
Yes.
dies.
Same with me.
There's no migrating to the next thing after this.
Yeah.
When people are complaining about Facebook, it's like, they're going to charge us. Well, you know what? They probably should, because of the amount of business I do on Facebook. I owe somebody something.
Yeah, right.
And then for
but as soon as they do that, it's dead,
Yeah.
like
And then for any of my podcasts, wherever you get your podcast, if you type in the Radio Eclectic or 53.5, the official Striper podcast, you'll get my shows there.
Okay.
So
and then you have go through the run of shows again. You have Radio.
So I got Terrificon. Oh, for that stuff. I thought you meant for the show.
Yeah,
So I have
that. You can do that as well.
Yeah,
too.
I've got the Radio Eclectic,
Okay.
53.5, the official Striper podcast, and then I have Power Chords, the Power Chords podcast.
Those are the three primary. And then what shows you have? Terrificon. You got Plastic City.
Terrificon, Plastic City, and then I have two of those the Connecticon shows, the ones that they're doing in why do I always forget this? Oh gosh, I always forget the place.
Not
Norwich, Connecticut. CD Collecticon.
Yeah. I told him he's got
with our
one.
Friend Chris.
He's got one in August, right?
August
and then he does
December.
one at the end of. I may do the December one. We'll see.
So he's going to be announcing a guest, and it's going to be Richie Stotts from the Plasmatics.
Oh, cool.
So the guy who wore the dress, the tutu, and was not Wendy O. Williams. That's who it's going to be. And I met him at a show a couple weekends ago. Super cool guy. Most interesting guy you'll ever want to talk to. Because you picture like the Plasmatics and the insanity of that music. And you're like, why'd you do it? Well, I just needed to do something. It's like, oh, that's it? I was looking for this huge... Well, my mother was a nurse, so I decided to wear a nursing outfit. And she came home bloody one day, and I decided that's what I was going to do. No, I just went to the store and got a nursing outfit and a tutu. Right.
Easy peasy, right?
Yeah. And my books are on Amazon as well. But I always tell people, if you want the book, reach out to me, because you'll get it probably the same price, but you'll get it signed, and you might get some goodies with it as well.
Yeah, there you go. Like bookmarks and stickers and things like that.
Soundtracks.
Yeah, there you go. I love that. Awesome. So check all that out. And then also everyone, Plastic City Comic-Con happening in August 19th. $10 admission and double the size. Like I this year's a little weird for us, like I'm hoping like we could still bring in a good crowd, but also, bigger is like kind of scary to me too. Like the show now is the level of what Wicked was. Like we have the same amount of dealers and stuff. So, I do a lot more advertising than they do. So hopefully that'll pan out for us, So,
and I love the new It's a lot of fun.
What's that? Oh, thanks.
It's a great show. It's always been fun. Always done well at that. Always walked out of there with whoever my booth mates are beside me and behind me. I walk out with them as friends. Yeah, so that's awesome. always a great way to do it.
Well, I kind of have you and I know you said to put you and Vin together, but I kind of gave you guys both separate tables. We'll see if I'll let you know if I need to take that one.
If you need to, just let me know.
If not, I'd rather have you guys separate, which would be, you guys can both like spread out and really like put all your stuff in there, Yeah.
And I do need to mention too, I completely forgot about this. So my publisher, Monarch Books, is part of Monarch Comics. So if you go to monarchcomics.com, you'll find my books. You'll also find some great comic books like Witch Hunter and Evil Monkey Man. And Vin's going to be with me at Terrificon. He's with me at all these shows. It's great getting him back. He was a fixture at New York Comic Con for years. And then, I don't want to say smartened up and stopped doing it, but smartened up and stopped doing it. And
well, it's a lot of money for I don't think is a great return, you know.
No, too much hustle, and you might have broken even, but you were killing yourself to do it, and it's not worth it.
Yeah. I would rather do like a San Diego Comic-Con, I think, instead of New York.
I'd rather do a Plastic City.
Yeah.
You see the sincerity in my face? But
yeah.
Plastic City.
Well, the great thing about Plastic this year too, Matt, is everybody's on one floor. There's none of that 2-floor crap anymore. So
everybody's on a level playing field. That's good.
Yes.
No issues of who's more important.
Bigger, and then we were able to keep the admission at the same price, which is huge. And that's what we always wanted to do, is keep the show affordable for people and affordable for vendors and stuff. So yeah, August 19th, everyone. So check that out. All right. So we're going to end this episode. We've been going an hour and 20. And any last words before we close out this stream?
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks. Anytime you want me, just let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we'll have you back as a guest, and we'll do a deep dive. Josh, any last words before we close it out?
No, thank you for having me, and check out my art, people.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with the CEO of Global Comics, and Johnny will be returning and probably give us a little more in-depth review of San Diego. So till then, we'll talk to you later, and read some comics, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.